So, I've been thinking about the nature of reality, nature of comprehension, the nature of what it means to perceive, to understand, to conclude. And I've actually kind of developed this theory that the ability for one to develop a comprehension about the nature or their nature in relation to capitalism is the highest metric of comprehension about this person's potential development in relation to the actual world. Because I have this idea that humanity is one of the few, actually, is the only species that is in the constant process of evolution. And what I mean by the constant process of evolution, I mean that, like, we evolved not through the mechanization of growing a tail or an extra finger. The way humans have always evolved is through the mechanization of thought. Mathematics was a huge, mechanization or a huge chance of the leap of human evolution. Agriculture was another mechanism of human evolution. Our evolution is a product of our ability to engage, communicate, understand, and grow. But because of the nature of capitalism, we have actually stopped evolving. So I mean that we've stopped evolving. I mean that at the end of the day, we have stopped actually evaluating the nature of the situation that we're in. One of the things that I always kind of think about and kind of look at is like the nature of architecture. The nature of architecture, the nature of power, the nature of plumbing. These are all manufactured ideas that humanity first came up with in evaluation and then actually created within reality. And this is something that I think has been completely forgotten and kind of just lost to the human comprehension, the human perception. We have created literally every home that we live in. I didn't create the home that I live in. I have no idea the level of complexity and level of work that actually went into the home that I created, but it was created by other people with ideas and comprehensions. The problem is that the ideas and comprehensions to like control the flow of electrons so we could create power on massive scales, those comprehension, those ideas have been literally limited by the mechanisms of capitalism itself. What I'm saying is that human beings have been brought up in such a strict level of thought and understanding that humans have lost the ability to actually understand the full complexity of the world around them. And the full complexity of the world around them is something that at the end of the day, very few people even have the privilege of engaging in because of the fact that most people have to work to survive. And because so many people have to work to survive, humanity has completely gone off the evolutionary like table. We aren't evolving on the scales that we should be because of the fact that so many people are literally on the verge of poverty and homelessness. And because so many people are on the verge of poverty and homelessness, and the only way to kind of avoid such situations is completely selling out and becoming of the best service to this very system that puts people in poverty and homelessness. Meaning that the only way for you to actually secure the safety of your family or of your life or whatever else is to serve the very system that creates poverty. So you either serve the system and allow that mental process to define kind of your understanding, your engagement with the world, or you deny it or question it and thus put yourself in a more impoverished position just simply because of the fact that you will not use your mental capacity to try to grow within the functionality of the system. That right there is pretty freaking crazy. And I think it is probably the major reason humanity has yet to come to the position of actual full evolution. I think in actuality, humanity is in the process of actually developing a evolutionary condition to which we could evolve again. Because again, if you talk about like 200 years ago, this is not a long time, 200 years ago, you could talk about 4 or 5 generations. 200 years ago, the idea of a cell phone or a camera would be insane to everybody. We evolve in so many complex ways. It's just that right now, all human evolution, all human communication, connection, and understanding is based and predicated on one particular thing, the engagement of capital. So literally all human comprehension, all human work, all human evaluation is predicated on the idea of a fictional tool that humanity created to make trade and honestly, physical communication easier. Money was the tool that we created. Money was a functional tool that we created. And at the end of the day, we have taken this idea of money so far that it has allowed and I think hindered the greatest ability for humanity to evolve. And it is disgusting because I 1000% believe the reality of this situation is that the people in power, the people in Washington, D.C., the people in even Hollywood have defined the very characteristics to which humanity itself is supposed to grow and prosper by. And what are the conditions that humanity is supposed to grow and prosper by? It is fame, it is money, it is wealth. It is literally the greatest element of whether a person is a person of actual value within our society. It means that, and this is the other thing I'll say, society actually have mechanisms of value. Certain things are of different value to certain societies. There's black countries or African countries that actually the thing bigger women are a sign of fertility, and that is of value. The understanding that I'm trying to get at here is that we all value stuff within the society. It is the nature of culture. The issue that we're actually dealing with is that the nature of the current culture that we are living with is completely superficial. It's not about being a good person. It's not about understanding who you are. It's not about making the world a better place. And it's not about caring about anybody. It is about your relationship to capital that is the major mechanism of personal definition about and for any individual within the world. That is a horrible system, and it does not allow the development of free thought or free comprehension because of the fact that capital plays such an important role in our lives on an everyday level, that instead of looking at the world for its natural capacities to understand, to be interested in the fact that I get electricity to my house. I mean, think about how many kids, if they were taken back from the capitalist system, could look at the fact they have electricity and be interested in that and find interest in the development of that understanding of that education. That would be amazing. Or plumbing. You know what I mean? But that is not the reality to which we engage within the world. What we engage with the world is through capital. I get a plate of food. If I go to the store and I buy a pack of, root beer, I get a pack of root beer. That is the mechanism to which all of humanity has been designed to see the world. The process of that root beer being made, we have no idea about it. And I think that is the largest developmental failure that has actually made humanity suffer to the condition and to the level that it does currently. We have stopped evaluating our own perception about the functional world, and that very evaluation of the perception of the world is the very reason we live in the world we do. And I think that is the biggest failure that we have as current human beings, is that we're not allowed to grow and question the world. Because of the fact, if we were allowed to grow and question the world, I think that a lot of people would question the very nature of the society that we are living in when 40% of all the food in America goes to rot. 40%. I think a lot of people, given the time and ability to question that, would really question that. And I think that's one of the major issues that we're dealing with. And let me just be clear, there are people in power who want this system by design because of the fact that if you have a person who is constantly worrying about food, it is like an animal that is constantly worrying about foraging. That animal does not have the ability, nor time, nor the privilege to grow and develop besides actually trying to feed itself. And that is the nature of the people in power, and that is the desire of the people in power, and it is what they want to bring to the vast majority of the people within this country and around the world, because of the fact it ensures their continued power and their continued supremacy. Yeah, so fun times.